Now we're going to talk about the roles and responsibilities of each speaker in the team. Debating, and especially in the Asian parliamentary format, it's a team sport and teams compete against other teams. And just like in any other team persuasion activity, like a team presentation, right, each speaker has a specific role and responsibility. It's important to realize at the start, though, that these are guidelines. These are not rules. It doesn't mean that if you don't do one of these things, you will automatically lose the debate. However, these guidelines are created in order to give you the most amount of efficiency when persuading, right? So they will help you function as a team more effectively and persuade more efficiently. So the speakers in the teams all have a specific kind of a name, a notation, in order to, I guess, role play a little bit and make it more interesting. So in the government team, the first speaker is called the Prime Minister, and his or her second speaker is the Deputy Prime Minister, and then the Government Whip. In the opposition, the first speaker is the Leader of Opposition, followed by the Deputy Leader of Opposition and the Opposition Whip. I'm sure you see a pattern forming here. So we're going to talk about these roles in the order in which they will speak in the debate. So the first speaker of government first, the Prime Minister, and then the Leader of Opposition, and then the Deputy Prime Minister, Deputy Leader of Opposition, and so on. So let's look at the Prime Minister. Now, as the first speaker of the debate, you have three essential things that you must do. Firstly, you must define and set up the debate. Secondly, you need to present your team's position and the team's case. And thirdly, you must make one or two arguments. Now, let's look at those things in turn. Defining and setting up the debate. So both teams have a topic. The first speaker's job is to tell them how we are going to, or tell everyone rather, how we are going to define the topic, how we're going to use this topic in this debate, right? Now they should take the most literal and straightforward definition, but sometimes they can be words that need additional clarification to help people know how they're going to be understood in this debate. Now this does not mean you have to give the dictionary definition of every word, right? But you need to tell people how your team is going to understand and apply some of the words. For example, if the topic is that we would ban smoking in the university campus, okay, so teams perhaps don't need to explain what smoking is if everyone knows what smoking is, right? Smoking cigarettes, or legal, whatever is legally defined as smoking. But they might need to say what they exactly mean by ban and how they're going to regulate it. They might need to say also, where is the boundary of the university campus? Are they talking about buildings, the surrounding area of the buildings, or within the fence? Not clarifying these issues at the start could lead to confusion, right? So you have to define the debate in a way that does not lead to confusion. You cannot define the debate in an overly narrow or small way in order to give yourself too much of an advantage, because there still needs to be a debate. You also need to set up the debate. Now, setting up the debate means, well, just like setting up a stage, you are going to tell people what are the things they need to know in order for this debate to happen. So that means giving them like a context. Why is this debate important? What is the background to this issue? Tell people how this debate is to be evaluated, right? So they, perhaps in that same example, I might say that there is a big problem. There's a rise of younger people smoking. It's been very difficult to clamp down. There's also a problem with, littering and secondhand smoking and so on and so forth. And what we want to do is address and to solve these problems, right? So that would be defining the debate and then setting up the debate. These things are important to create clarity, to avoid confusion, and help people decide how to evaluate the debate. The second thing you would do as Prime Minister is present your position and your team's case. The position is, how are we going to approach this debate? What do we believe in? What are we going to prove? Right? And what is my team going to do? So do we believe that people need to have their rights limited? Are we trying to regulate people? What is our position? Right? And you present your case. So your case means the arguments of the entire team. This means having to present your team's split. So what am I going to talk about? And what my second speaker is going to talk about. This makes your entire case more easily understood by the other team, and most importantly by the judges and the audience. Sometimes your teams will have a policy or a plan, right? So the 3 things we're going to do this, and we're going to do that, and we're going to do this. So you're going to explain in detail how you're going to implement your solution. That also needs to come out in this part when you're presenting your position and your case. The final thing the Prime Minister will do is present arguments. So the first reason or the second reason, right? And then, you'll summarize, end up, close your speech, emphasize why it's important. Okay? So, brief recap. 3 things the Prime Minister must do. He or she must define and set up the debate. He or she must present a position, their team's position and the team's case, which could sometimes include the policy. And finally, he or she must present 1 or 2 arguments. Watch an example and see if this person does all of those things.